Okay, I'm going to invite people now to join the session. So let's just go to the video button.
The only person in this conference room.
Inviting people. And send the invitation to everyone, although I'm seeing like the only person being there now. Interesting. Yeah, people are coming. Just sending the invitation again. Okay, welcome again. Sorry, but I have to keep each session 40 minutes. This will allow me to track down each process. Also, this is the free version of Zoom, as I told you. I tried to buy the software actually, but it just didn't accept my credit card. I tried a different credit card and it didn't accept it as well. It might be my connection or my, I don't know, the location maybe in here. It just doesn't accept it. So it's definitely not a popular software being used in this region, although I know a lot of people using it in Europe. But apparently in this region it's not very popular, so maybe that's why it's not accepting. I don't know. So let's go back to our course. Can you all hear me properly?
Yes.
Yes, very good. Cool. Now I'm going to talk about Scrum and then let you go for today. So let's go and look at the Scrum. Scrum is the most popular agile development management method. And the idea here is that you organize everything in an extreme programming way as development, but on the management side, you keep it in an informal way that there is no project manager. There's a Scrum Master which replaces the project manager, and its job is basically to make sure that the daily activities are done and everything is on the schedule. Scrum is not a conventional project management method, and it uses specific terminologies to itself, such as sprints, such as cycles, and it's quite different how it introduced the development to people. This is an informal working environment, okay? You can go to your work with a cap, with t-shirt, with a jean. You don't have to dress smart. You can be whoever you want to be as long as you do your job. So it's a very informal way of meeting with people. So it's like the Scrum Master is a guy that comes into you, hey, what's up? Like, how is it going? Did you manage to do this stuff? With the coffee in his or her hand, and basically casually chatting to you. And that is actually counted as a meeting in a Scrum model. So it's like everything is like more relaxed, more friendly development environment, and it's not like his boss telling you what to do, but rather you feel less tension, and you know that he is or she is at the same level as you are, more or less, but just organizing the activities themselves. That is the sole purpose. This is not a very applicable model, particularly for big industries, because obviously in a big industry, you need to have a CEO to keep a structure. But some companies also practice some of the features of Scrum and try to keep it as informal as possible. Nowadays, majority of agile processes are monitored by Scrum. So just to show how this is working in the industry, I just opened up a video which I want to share it with you. I hope you can all see my screen. So I'm going to press OK and start this video so you can see it. Just making maybe making my screen here smaller so that it will fit. Yeah, let's share the video with you.
Complex projects can lead to real headaches. Organizing the team, changes in scope, roles that aren't clear. But you can change that with Scrum, an agile framework. At its foundation, Scrum can be applied to any project or product development effort. Here's how it works. A product owner creates the product backlog, the prioritized wish list. During sprint planning, the team pulls a chunk from the top of that list and decides how to complete it. The team has a set time frame, the sprint, to complete their work. They meet in a daily scrum to keep the work moving forward. Along the way, the Scrum Master keeps the team focused. At the end of the sprint, the work should be potentially shippable. The team conducts a sprint review on the product and a retrospective on the process. Then, they choose the next chunk of the backlog and the cycle repeats. With Scrum, you can ensure the most valuable work has been completed by the time the project ends. Tackle your projects with Scrum.
Right, I looked into many videos of, for this course, and this is one of the best ones that explain the how Scrum works. So I put it into the slides as well. You can reach the link from there should you want to. And it is just as the video told you that there is an outline planning for this software to be released on a certain time. And it goes what we call as sprint cycles. These sprint cycles are basically involving the step of review, select, develop, and plan. So all these activities concurrently happen in the sprint cycle. And you only have a limited time to release the software because this is how it is grounded to extreme programming. Remember that in extreme programming, we already told you that you have a specific deadline that you have to reach, and you need to deliver the user requirements from the top of your list. And that's exactly how Scrum works in here. It is just the management method for it. There's an outline planning and design, and from the product backlog, you take up the ones at the top of your list. You know that you cannot deliver all of it. You just take up the ones that you can deliver in the next sprint cycle. And all these activities that you see, review, select, develop, and plan, they happen concurrently. Now, once these cycles are completed, a potentially shippable product or service, nowadays we regard software as service, is ready, and it goes to the customer or user or whatsoever. And the person who makes sure that these review, select, develop, plan phases concurrently happens is the Scrum Master. It is the person who manages the sprint cycles. And as you go through these sprint cycles, that person is responsible to make sure that everyone works with everybody else and the product becomes a shippable position in that limited time frame. The first stage is outline planning phase, where the general objectives and architecture design is established. Next, sprint cycles. With each cycle develops an increment of the system. By increment, I mean, of course, the version. Finally, the project closure phase, where the project is wrapped up and the requirement documentation is completed as user manuals. Now that the software is ready in a shippable state, you just type a couple of statements there that you delivered in this version. Just like when you want to update your WhatsApp or whatever programs that you use on your mobile devices, on your smartphones, it says in this WhatsApp version, we fixed bugs. In this WhatsApp version, we added, I don't know what feature. So all these kind of things kind of goes into the project closure phase, where people list what they actually did as user manuals, user information, okay? So sprint cycles are fixed and normally takes up to 2 to 4 weeks. This is very well aligned with extreme programming. Once this is done, of course, they correspond of a release time for the next version. with the XP cycles. The selection phase involves all project teams to work with one another, also work with the customer. At the end of the sprint, the work is done, reviewed, and presented to stakeholders, which is the person who is owning the product. And the next cycle begins on when the project is, that version obviously is done. This is a software engineering terminology, but because Scrum became so successful, it started to jump into other industries to be used as well. So they can kind of like, it works best with the software industry, obviously, but some products that can be updated, some services, I would say, that can be updated over the internet falls under this umbrella as well. Nowadays, what is a software became a so broad concept that because of the internet services available to us, Scrum became a very manageable approach for small to medium-sized companies. One of the distinct features you will see in here is that there is no project manager. There is no someone that you heavily depend on to manage the entire project and takes up the stress, but rather this is divided. Scrum heavily depends on team working and good communication among the team members. You are kind of standing in the same position. There is no ultimate manager that you're supposed to report to or whatsoever. You know that this project, if it becomes successful, you will be successful altogether. There's a term called Scrum Master, but this serves as a secretary rather than project manager. Their duties are organizing daily meetings, track the backlog, record the decisions that are done, communication with the customers or among the team members, and so forth. The word Scrum actually comes from rugby. Is there anyone interested in rugby? No one. Okay. Scrum is designed for the use of co-located teams where the team members could work together in a stand-up meeting. And actually, this terminology is used in rugby as well. So they're just coordinating themselves to stand together. And I think that stand that they use is Scrum, hence why it got its name from a sports terminology. There are, of course, some disadvantages. Remember that there is no perfect way to develop software or to manage it. These are just practices you will see in the industry, just like the one that I showed you in the job applications. These are the things that will pop up, and you need to know who is using what before you obviously apply to those jobs. So what are the disadvantages you can face in this kind of management? Miscommunication and personality clashes among team members can create some problems because now everyone stands at the same level. Could be due to stress of having multiple roles, could be a very stressful environment, and if personality conflicts, it actually damages the product now, especially in smaller projects. This is not a very good technique for big projects like huge plan-driven approaches. You cannot use Scrum. There are some practices nowadays that is called distributed Scrum that kind of like adopts some of the Scrum features and divides the project development into smaller teams, but you cannot 100% apply Scrum to big projects, as far as I know. No project manager to lead the project, therefore suits best for those people who are self-disciplined and could handle stress by themselves. Okay, nowadays we have anxiety problems almost in everyone. We live in a more civilized and personality crashing era, and managing this much of stress, especially under extraordinary conditions, could be really difficult for some people. Those especially having anxiety problems can suffer from this. Sometimes you need to know which direction you need to go, and sometimes you don't have the self-discipline that could handle this much of work because you now have multiple roles in the company. No border in terms of responsibilities. As Scrum software engineers, Scrum members have to deal with every aspect of the project. Just as I told you 5 seconds ago, you don't have one job, you have multiple. And because of that, work responsibility you have, it could be sometimes very difficult to manage it, especially if people are not working together. Scrum is designed for team members who could daily interact with one another, and hence they are co-located in the same way, in the same location. This is why it's not very suitable for different party members who are scattered in different locations. So right now, for example, we cannot 100% apply Scrum because Scrum requires a smaller group working together on a daily basis. However, because of the different locations of the groups, there are practices of distributed Scrum where people who are located in different places, they can arrange meetings like what we are doing right now, basically, and casually talk and keep up to date with the project itself. Right now, we cannot go to university, but we are a small Scrum group that we are still trying to do our job despite our conditions. Okay, so we are applying a distributed Scrum using tools to develop further. There are some terminologies you should know here. Scrum is the daily meeting of the Scrum teams, review progress, prioritizing work done on a daily basis. Ideally, this should be a short face-to-face meeting, including the whole team, or partially, like the Scrum Master approaching them and asking how they are doing with the project. The Scrum Master is responsible for ensuring the Scrum process is followed. He or she is responsible for interacting with the rest of the company, for ensuring the Scrum team is not diverted, and should be not regarded as a project manager. A sprint is the cycle itself, usually takes 2 to 4 weeks. And finally, the product backlog is kind of like the to-do list in which in the Scrum it will take place. There could be the user stories, description of supplementary tasks, or even the definition of architecture or user documentation. So these are the terminologies you need to know. I'm going to stop here for today and not go any further. I think we have another lecture this week, and I'm going to do in that lecture distributed Scrum and introduce you this concept. We'll also do a case study there. Now I'm going to stop here for today. I already did over 80 minutes past. Wow, time flies, huh? So, any questions before I end up my session for today? Do you have any questions? Anyone who wants to talk? No one. Wow, you are extremely quiet today. Okay, very much thank you to everyone for coming to my sessions. I know that these are difficult times. I am trying to keep my best for these lectures. And of course, if you are feeling down or if you want to ask questions, you can email to me anytime, okay? So make sure to keep up with the work that I'm doing, all right? And I will announce the next session on Moodle. Take care, guys. And I will also upload these videos on Moodle. You can access it on the Moodle page. I think I did it for the last session. So if you go to class archive videos here, just under the big blue button, you can go to the class archive videos and watch the previous classes that we have already done. I am going to upload this one as well, so you can go there and watch. Only 6 views. Wow, nobody ever watched it. So make sure to watch them again to digest the topics, okay? All right, guys, have a lovely day. Thank you. Bye.